All right, everyone, time for an epic Styxhexenhammer garden update. This one is wild because there's all sorts of shit growing, you know? First off to the nettle water. That's about how it's supposed to look. You stir it around with a stick and stuff. The water will turn green. You strain it off, and the nettle dregs actually are useful. You can put them around plants to protect them. And by the way, that buzzing noise there is from these. Those are to repel moles. We'll see how well they work. Garlic growing well, as before. Next year, it's all going to be rows like this. There won't be any of those big clumps. I'm going to harvest them at some point. Just enormous amounts of garlic. Have like garlands of it. Everything's greening up post-treatment. You see the eggplant there. Oh, little toad friend. Hey, Mr. Hoppy. It's Pepe. He's visiting the garden and blessing it, of course. Did a lot of weeding today. There's still a few here and there, but not as much. There's spinach in there. Little baby spinach plants. And plenty of turnips. The germination rate was a little bit lower, but that doesn't matter because I want them spaced more. Because I'm only going to need 7 or 8 turnips anyway, because me and my dad are the only ones that eat them. Peas and cucumbers, as far as the eye can see. All from Heritage Heirloom. -1. I did have to cycle out one cucumber. I planted it wrong, I think, and so I had to replace it with, I don't know exactly what variety that is, but it's taken. It's doing well. A couple peppers. Those are doing fine. The tops are much more dark green than the underleaves. They had a little bit of nitrogen deficiency. The cantaloupe there, it's leafing out. We'll see what it does. And also here, there was a baby rabbit in the garden, and it nibbled down this squash plant, this poor squash plant. That was one of the Turk's turbans from Heritage Heirloom. And so I had to replace it. I just popped a zucchini in there and called it a day. I had to rescue the friggin' rabbit from the garden. Now I'm taking a win here. By the way, I planted these carrots. Like you can see that carrot seedling right there. And there are others available as well. I was told that carrots took 3 or 4 weeks sometimes to germinate. That had never been my experience with carrots. Indeed, there are carrots germinating in here after less than a week. And these carrots that I planted before, they are germinating. Let's see. See, there's some carrot seedlings there. They are germinating, but they should not have taken so long. Various flowers. Got my cherry tomatoes. Those are important. Basil and sage. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. In the middle of the 4 rows down there of carrots, right down the center, I'm going to put some white petunias, just, to have some, stuff to attract pollinators. Weeded this out more or less. There are beets in there, as you can see. Their germination was a little bit on the low side, but again, I can always fill in those spots. There's cabbage here. We'll get 5 or 6 good cabbage plants and some red basil. They finally got it in. This is one of my favorite herbs. I like red basil a lot. It's so much better than regular green sweet basil. Roma tomatoes, basil, coriander, more sage, etc. These cotton plants, I don't know if they're gonna make it. I'll give them a little bit longer, otherwise I'll have to replace them with something not really the climate for them. But the okra is doing fine here. You can see they're getting more leaves, no legginess or anything like that. They'll be fine. And of course catnip and more flowers. More peppers. I can't remember which ones are sweet peppers and which ones are poblanos, but it doesn't really matter because they're interchangeable. More beets on the side. Yeah, you can see the little beet seedlings. Again, some of those germinated better than others. And so, that's fine. Also, look at this. These are mustard plants. And they've been in the garden pervasively for years now. And I'm going to leave them there. They're a good garnish for salad. You can see there's some little weeds in here, like, the little stuff like that. And just sort of pick it out. That's not a big deal. I'll be going through multiple times throughout the year and weeding anyway. More peppers. And here we have broccoli. Yes, broccoli plants. I've never successfully gotten it to grow before, but this year I have a good feeling that they'll be just fine. Lettuce mix. Various lettuce. Have to thin them out a little bit, of course, but gonna get a nice little salad garden going there. And again, if there are any bare spots, you can always compensate. Over here, I've got something special to show you. This is the herb bed, the Viking bed. Doing really, really well, of course. All the herbs are really loving it. But look at this. That is a peach tree seedling. Exactly one came up from the dead peach tree. After overwintering at least twice, by the way. It couldn't have fallen last year because there was no peach tree to actually release fruit. So it had to have been in the ground for the better part of a year before it came up. So I have been blessed with a new peach tree. That's why I moved it here. It was over by the lettuce. Over here, got more garlic. There's Swiss chard in there. It hasn't sprouted yet. I had to replant it because there's too much witchgrass. Also, a butterfly bush. Yes, indeed. Like that bee balm, actually. Sorry, my apologies. Chamomile, catnip, all of the usuals. Ah, yeah. Lots and lots of pak choi. This is my stir-fry garden. I was pleased to note that at the local gas station, actually, they sell those sliced water chestnuts that are so good in a stir-fry. Then you just need mushrooms and you got it made. This cantaloupe is doing really well. Remember, it was really small only a week ago. Pumpkin plant, that'll do fine. Those are the pumpkins you turn into pie. Those are the little ones. One of the winter squash, the Turk's turban from Heritage Heirloom. Another pumpkin is back there. That one's actually even doing better. So I nibbled down one of the leaves, it'll be fine. And then another zucchini plant, a little border around it, just for decoration. Look at the gas plant. It's getting ready to make some flowers, and those are impressive. Long stalks of long-lived white flowers with a really, really unique smell to them. Smells a little bit like eucalyptus. 2 rows of collards already coming up. 2 more rows have been planted in. God, that almost looks like a carrot seedling. Yeah, I don't know. Might be grass, might be carrot. Oh, there's actually collards coming up. Yep, they've already sprouted. Well, that's good. I wanted more than 2 rows of collards because I'm obsessed with them. I pretty much would eat them every day. Look at our onions. Yeah. Lots and lots of onions. Got to weed this out still. I weeded most of the beds earlier today, before and after the live stream. I didn't get to the potato bed. You can see there's a lot of shit going on in there. But the potatoes are growing well. And there are beans in between them that I planted, bush beans, also from Heritage Heirloom, the harvest ones. And they're starting to sprout just now. So that'll be good. Add a little bit of nitrogen. I mean, potatoes mainly need phosphate, but it's a good companion planting anyway with beans. They won't interfere with the potatoes' growth. They won't compete with them. Apparently, there's some sort of pest, I can't remember which one, that gets on potatoes and the beans draw it away from the potatoes. And I don't really care if they eat the beans because they got so many of them. I mean, just look at this. 6 rows of corn and beans. On the sides, you've got the bush beans with the corn. And in the middle, on those smaller ones, you have the mother stallard ones, the pole beans, also from Heritage Heirloom. And a couple of squash plants right in the middle. Those will fan out, and those will help to suppress weeds and keep the soil from getting dry. I thought I saw earlier a couple of beans sprouting in here, but I can't find them now. But I know that there were a couple that were already sprouting, so there's going to be an awful lot of corn and beans in this garden this year. And cucumbers, and carrots, and tomatoes, and a shit ton of garlic. Salad mix, herbs and spices of every possible kind, basil and sage and everything else. This garden is far more sophisticated than it has been in past years, you will see. Just wait till next year. I'm probably going to expand it in 2 directions. I'll get that done by the end of fall. Put down tarpaulins, destroy the weed seeds, put some alfalfa with the biochar on top. Be pretty much ready to go. I really like that patchwork with the dark colored flowers here, almost black, and then the pure white of the alyssums. I like that sort of checkerboard appearance. I like a little bit of contrast in the garden. I've got some white petunias again, as I said, that'll go in there. And other than filling in empty spots, that's basically the garden for the year. Just keep it weeded, keep it fertilized, keep it watered as necessary. That's pretty much all you have to do. And look at this. It's a pretty big garden compared to what I've been working with in the past. And it was already fairly big before. I mean, there's nothing to shake a stick at. I ain't done expanding. I'm only 36, dude. Yeah, I got plenty of gardening years left in me. If I ever get so old and decrepit that I can't garden, you know, I would maybe consider YouTube and its offer on that video about the dude burning himself to death. Just joking. Disclaimer, I know nothing about Hillary Clinton. But yeah, I can't wait to eat some of that lettuce. I'm gonna make a nice garden salad. Lettuce, spinach, maybe some pak choi actually. Yeah, put some chives in there and everything else. Got all sorts of greens. This year is a Definitely a year for peppers, though. I think I've got a couple more peppers than we're growing the other year. I mean, they've got 3 here, 4 in that back bed. I've got the jalapeno there, a couple in the side. That's 10. Thought I had a couple more somewhere. Oh yeah, one last thing. Yeah, this is funny. I covered this bed in Hugelkultur. You can see the wood in there, and then dumped it full of soil of various kinds. But you can see the hostas actually are still coming up, and I'm happy about that because next year I kind of want to round the sides off, make it more decorative, make an actual dedicated perennial garden with really great soil, biochar, Hugelkultur, the whole 9 yards. But I did want the hostas to come back, but I didn't see them at the time, and so I just covered the area up. I'm glad that they came back. And you've got these pink bushes and various other perennials and stuff. I don't think that this okra necessarily is going to do much. They were planted really early and got really leggy. By the way, I can smell berries right now. I have a feeling that the raspberries are beginning to bloom. And it's one of the greatest smells that you'll ever smell in the state of Vermont. There's going to be an awful lot of fucking vegetables. Again, this is 100% organic in every way. Other than when I spill my Red Bull in the garden, of course. 100% organic, no adulteration by chemicals and bullshit like that. I use Poseidon's Harvest, generally low yield fertilizer. Azomite for micronutrients. The soil stratum is all like the organic Pro Mix and Coast of Maine and stuff like that. A few others. I didn't use any sphagnum moss. I had several people complain when I was using that. Well, that's not renewable. I realized that, but I had to buff it up at the time. I didn't have the time to do anything else. So yeah, we're gonna have, I think, a bumper crop of pretty much everything, other than maybe the beets. They're not doing 100%, but again, I can always plant other things in where there's gaps. I was looking forward to a shit ton of pickled beets. Yeah, I can always wait till next year. I want to have a bed like that big with 4 rows just of beets. That's all I want. Infinite beets. My little friends, yes indeed. As you can tell, I'm a little bit on the excited side. Haven't worked with soil this good, a garden this expansive, or have as nearly as much time to actually work it in the past. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time had by all. You'll be along for the ride. You'll get to see the progress every step of the way. Keep in mind, if you got a backyard, you know, this isn't a terribly big area. It's a big garden overall, but if you had a city lot, you could put in a garden almost this big anyway. Just imagine how much food you will get from that, especially if you start your own seeds inside. Get a survival bucket from Heritage Heirloom, and then get some azomite, make some nettle water, if you can. I'm sure you can probably buy it at this point. Get some blood meal, and low yield fertilizer, Poseidon's Harvest. Your overall investment, you invest $1,000, you're getting like $5,000 worth of food under Bidenomics. So one thing that's still fairly cheap, soil amendment seeds and things like that. When the economy is bad, my grandpa used to talk about this in the Great Depression. The economy is bad, people turn to home farming and stuff like that. And that's why in a bad economy, a lot of people invest in like agricultural companies. That's why Vermont was spared the worst of the Great Depression at times. Look at all the garlic. And keep in mind, a single clove of garlic costs quite a bit in the store. I have hundreds of them. That's gonna be tasty. No vampires allowed. That's about all. Peace out.